I've been using Azure API Management to convert my logic apps from a POST to a GET and to provide a common API endpoint. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create an Azure API resource, how to create a logic app to read Active Directory, add a logic app to API Management, test the logic app, clone the POST as a GET, which you'll see how we do that, then test that, and then consume that endpoint in Power BI. Hi there, I'm going to show you how to create an Azure API Management instance. Now, to start with, we've just logged into Azure here. There's not a lot in this this Azure instance, so we'll just hop straight into it and we will create a resource. API Management. Use our existing resource group. We'll call our resource name Adaptive BI API. Use my Adaptive BI email account, and we're going to use the consumption SLA because there are no monthly fees on this, and it has the capacity to do what we need. The developer one is very nice though. Now this does take a while to create, so I'm going to create this and then I'm going to go and do something else and come back later. And I suggest you do the same thing. And that's it. Deployment is in progress, and it will be for some time. So go make a cup of tea, have a break, and we'll get back to this later on. Oh, we're back. There we go. Obviously quicker to produce these things on a Saturday afternoon. Let's have a look at our resource. So we've got a consumption pricing tier, and we can add an API right here. But well, we'll just quickly do that because it's so simple. And the greatest thing is here, we can just add a logic app or a function app. Let's quickly produce a logic app. Now there are some logic apps here, but we don't want to use those ones. We're going to create a fresh one. So we're going to use this logic app to get a group name. So we'll call it get group name. And this is so that we can store away a group ID and then come back and get its name. You may say, why don't we store the name? Well, it's easier to actually store the ID because we use the ID to look up everything else. So we need that ID. Besides which, it's a good example. Now this generally doesn't take very long. Just click your way through the Visual Designer, it's easy. And we're going to do an HTTP request, and we'll use a sample payload to generate the schema. We'll practice our typing here. And we'll type in a bit of JSON. That's where we're going to type in our ID, but we'll just use a little dummy one there. This is very important. Don't forget the content type header. Okay. Now we're going to use Active Directory to get a group. Now there's a useful collection of Active Directory functions available in there. So then we take our group ID. That's the one that we specified in our payload here. Get a response. Then get group's going to return something, so we'll just return the whole body. And save it. This isn't that complicated. Now we'll go back to our API management. And we'll go API Now hopefully it will pick this up. I have had an instance where I created a fresh one and it didn't quite work, so I had to wait, but it's there. Probably the advantage of, now that gives us a base URL to call it. Now the real URL of the power of the logic app is actually much longer and complicated. So this is immediately simplifying the call. Okay, and we can test this. Let's test it. And we just need a group ID. Now we don't know what our group IDs are a little hard to find, so this is where we cheat. I'm going to use the Graph Explorer, easy to find, and we're going to sign into it. And if we look down here somewhere, groups, let's get all groups in the organization. Here we go. And we don't want the all company group. Let's get a little group. What's our group called? Planner 1. That's the group we want. Now we'll just grab that. And we'll go to our test. Put the string in. And send. And the beauty of this is it tests it for you, and there's our 200. It means it's gone and got the data okay, and it will show us the data it has returned down here. We can see there is the data. Now at this point we can go back to design. Now, so what you do is you click on this, and we can make it even simpler. So what we're going to do here is we're going to change this path here, and have something in there. And I kind of like just look. It says e.g. resource, and let's call it resource. That means that when we test it, you'll see that there's the URL, nice and simple. And we've got a funny name there. Let's just change the name. That doesn't mean anything. It's just the name that we see. Okay, let's see if we can make a bit of space here, maybe. And what we'll do is we will clone this. And we have the same back end, but what we're going to do is we're going to change the front end a little. And we're going to make that into a get. But we're going to use the same path. Now then we have to just process this a little to convert the get to a post on the way through. That'll happen on the fly here. So I have a bit of code that I've been working on, which I'll just and it goes something like set body Now, rather than having to put up with me painfully typing it in, I'm actually going to put in some code that I've already prepared for this, which will be a great relief to us all, I hope. And there we have. Now I'll explain to you what it does. We're changing the body of the request, and we're getting the query value of group ID, and we're creating a post body with that group ID in it using this weird little language that we have in here for modifying API calls on the way through. And then we're going to remove the group ID from the query header, so not from the query. Okay, simple. I've just been hopping in there and just editing it. It's these give you a bit of guidance, but it's not. You have to read the documentation, which is a bit technical. Okay, so there's our get. Let's just edit that name. Now, I'll tell you what else I'm going to do down here. Get into the right place. Let's go to the settings, and you will see this is how the authentication comes through, and we're going to give it a nice short query parameter called API key. We'll use that later on. And there are lots of options here. What we are doing is we are taking the simplest and most direct route, well, certainly the simplest and most direct that I've found so far, to convert a logic app post into a get. Okay, now we're going to add a parameter called group ID. No, we'll just get that spelling absolutely right. And we got it wrong again. Lowercase g, uppercase I, and we need a value copy that. There we go, and it looks like that. Question mark group ID equals that, and we'll just send that. Now bear in mind we've run this this twice, so there we go. That has run. We did have a 200 at the top there, didn't we? Yes, of course we did. and that successfully run it using a get. So that's not complicated. We'll pause there, and I'll show you how to call it from Power BI in a moment. Now I'm quickly going to show you how I've used this API in Power BI. So we've got get group name here, and we're going to implement this one. He says, okay, now, and so let's have a look at our URL. So this is what we want to use. So I have here a Power BI app that I've prepared before. Now it has a couple of parameters, and one of those is the group ID, which I happen to have in my buffer here. Right, we don't want that bit. And the other parameter is the API key. And we do have to type that in, unfortunately. So we'll just go back to here and we'll go to the subscriptions. And I think I might need to create a fresh one here. Let's create a fresh one. Oh, actually, the key's hiding off the end here. Let's go right now. Here we have a key. Let's use that one. We'll pop that into there. And we'll just go into the query. And how I've been doing this is having a single call. So this is where we put our API name in. So this is where we go. Just go back to this. How we want to go adaptive BI API. And one moment, just we'll pop that in there. And we'll try doing a test on this one. So this is our path. Put the path in there. And then it wants some credentials. And this is anonymous. Rule. And there we go, that did not work. We'll just try that again in a moment. Okay, we'll have a quick look to see what's going on here. If we look in Azure, we can look at the Logic app and we see the magical run here. We can look inside it and we can see the get group failed, but let's just see what we've passed to it. And we go show raw inputs and we can see, oh, we've passed a null body. So let's fix our group ID up and we can see what's happening there. Let's have another go at that. Delete that. Now this is how we actually call that function. So the function itself, there's the relative path. We didn't pass it a query. This will pass the query. So let's try this. And it's come back with an answer. And it's given us some OData with a group ID. So and this is some JSON here. Why have we got JSON? Oh look, it's for some reason I've got text from binary here. What we need is oh well, actually I have done this. No, I've done this wrong. Let's go text from binary JSON.document. And that then gives us a record that we can pull the group name out of, wherever it is. There it is. So this call API function can be used everywhere, and there are two problems with this. One is that we've still got the API in a parameter, and the other is that we have to type in the URL here These are minor problems. Basically, this gives you a good way of doing a get in Power BI. So we'll finish there. Thanks for listening if you got this far. And with the full Planner API, there will be a whole host of queries here that will all call this one routine.